Meeting is called to order.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
before we continue with the rest of the agenda, I'd like to amend it. So I would make a motion that in light of the resignation as chair, Amy Smith, that we add an agenda item to elect a new chair.
I
So
second
moved.
that.
Okay, it has been moved that we amend the agenda. All in favor, let it be known by the word aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. Okay. Is there any discussion on making a chair? Any recommendations? If not, I have.
I nominate you.
I second that motion.
No.
Do we have to take a vote to do it officially?
Well, he
Yeah.
just said no.
I decline. Okay.
You
I
do
would-
decline?
I do.
Okay.
I'd like to recommend Emily Hitchcock to be our chair. All in favor?
Do you have to have
Oh,
a
we need
motion
a
first?
motion and a
Okay.
second.
Okay. I'd like to offer a motion that Emily Hitchcock will be our chair. All in favor, let it be known
Nope.
by.
I second.
Okay.
That's okay.
Now we vote.
Okay. All in favor, let it be known by the word aye.
Aye.
So I have it, Emily, you are our chair at this time. And I will step down and let
Well,
you
you can stay there, but just hand me the gavel so I can get us out of here.
Oh,
where
you
we
just
need to
wanted
be.
the gavel. That's what this is
That's all.
about.
Yeah. I want us to get out of here when we need to. Well, I do want to, before we continue, just thank you, but say that Scuddy had told me yesterday that he did not want to be chair, but he is staying on as vice chair.
correct.
So,
It is fun to be in the court, but not to have to wear the crown, you know?
it is, let me kind of get organized, folks. The next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, motion by Ron and
Seconded?
second by Laura. Is there any discussion? I do have two items I would like to discuss. They do not require a change of the agenda, of the minutes, but in looking and rereading it, I noticed that there were two items that have not been done. And both, one is the status of, so we need to check on the status of a letter to Natural Land Trust telling them about the policy and telling them it will apply to the William Liles estate if it's going to go to the Forest Service. I believe, based on the minutes, that Andy had been prepared to do that, but he has not, as far as we know. So I would like someone to volunteer to draft a letter, and then Jennifer can send it out. And we can, if it's okay with you, Jennifer, we can just have the letter say on behalf of the board, and then you can sign it. Does somebody volunteer to do that?
I suggest you, since you probably understand the issue, right?
I do understand the issue.
Yeah. By the time you explain it to one of us.
Okay, so if the
We're
minutes
kind of
can,
going to be transcribing what you tell us, so why don't you just do it? Just cut
so
to
if
it.
the minutes will reflect that I volunteered to do that. But the second item is the grants dispersed chart. In Jennifer's absence, we voted that in the future, the grants dispersed chart that Andy used to prepare, be prepared by her. And in talking to her, she indicated that while she can do the routine donations chart that was also assigned to her in her absence, that doing the grants dispersed chart is not within her comfort zone, and suggested that it should be assigned to a position on the board, which I think is a good idea, and I don't think it should be the chair. I think that we need to spread out some of the duties. And all this is updating that chart whenever we get an application when we make a decision and when it closes.
Is it already in a form of like an Excel spreadsheet or?
I think it's a Word doc.
It's a Word doc,
Yeah.
Okay.
but it's already in a
It's a
form.
table.
It
It's
is
a table.
the chart that's attached to the Duke report.
And,
Yes.
you might want to check with Andy, when he originally sent me that,
Mhm.
I think he tried to convert it from an Excel, and it was all wonky, and we had to do some fixing in Word, so he might actually have the original Excel file on that.
Why
Okay.
would it be in Word if it's just a?
What he sent to, I thought what he sent to me was a Word, but it might be
I'm just,
Excel.
I'd be glad to do it if it's in an Excel spreadsheet where I can add, that's pretty easy.
Okay. Let's,
I am the secretary.
right.
Not a big
Let me
deal.
make a motion, if that's okay, that the secretary will assume that duty.
No.
And do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, so we'll have a motion by Emily and a second by Laura. Is there any more discussion?
I'll work with Andy on seeing if he has it in Excel, and I can put it in one. It's not that much
Okay,
stuff.
that would be great. And in light of that also, based on one of the things we found, I think that before every meeting, you'll need to send whatever the current version is to the staff liaison, Jennifer, so that it is automatically a part of our agenda every month, even if nothing happens.
I think we should have been doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
already.
so if there's no further discussion, vote on transferring or assigning the maintenance of the grant dispersed chart to the secretary of the board. All in favor?
Aye.
It's passed unanimously. Back to the approval of the minutes, which is a pending motion. We've had a first and a second. Any additional discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So that is also unanimous. And Laura, can you present the treasurer's report?
Yes. Okay, the treasurer's report for the Community First Bank account ending in 183, period ending May 31st, 2022. The monthly opening balance is $3,941. There were no deposits, no expenditures, leaving a balance in the account of $3,941. The treasurer's report for the Community First Bank account ending in 183, period ending June 31st, 2022. The opening balance was $3,941. Deposits were $100, which was a donation from John and Nancy Johnson through Fidelity Charitable. And the balance in the there were no expenditures. The balance in the account is $4,041. The treasurer's report for the Community First Bank account, 183, period ending July 31st, 2022. The opening balance was $4,041. There were no deposits, no expenditures, and the balance in the account was $4,041. The treasurer's report for the local government investment pool, period ending May 31st, 2022. The opening balance was $279,415.97. The deposit reinvestment of interest was $206.90. There were no expenditures, leaving a balance in the account of $279,622.87. The treasurer's report for the local government investment pool, period ending June 30th, 2022. The opening balance was $279,622.87. The deposits were a reinvestment of interest of $289.21. There were no expenditures. The balance was $279,912.08. The treasurer's report for the local government investment pool, period ending July 31st, 2022. The opening balance was $279,912.08. Reinvestment of interest deposit was $409.50. There were no expenditures. The balance in the account is $280,321.58.
That concludes your report. Do we have a motion to accept it?
I make a motion to accept.
A second?
Second.
Okay, a motion by Ryan, second by Slutty. Any discussion? No discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda is the fundraising and public relations reports. And you will see that, if I can find it, Jennifer had given us the donations list. This is the current list of how many private donations, non-Duke donations, because some of them are not individuals. And Duke is certainly not a public entity. But anyway, so it's at $9,000 since the first deposit, which was December of 2012. Laura, Ryan, do either of y'all have any further information about fundraising to report?
No, other than, this is kind of proof that we've had, some generosity by people, but like, if we maintain this level, we're not gonna need to worry about reappointing board members in about 2 years, 3 years. So, I mean, that being said, I know you and I are talking afterwards, but, I really think we need to get proactive with figuring out a way to get some real money and maybe explain what this board is about or what we form.
Well, let me tell you what Andy's been doing, and this relates to our conversation, because I'm going to step in his absence. He has talked to one person, Debbie, I don't know her last name. DuBose, okay, that you introduced him to, who is enthusiastic about helping with a major endowment campaign with a goal, I think Andy's thinking a goal of $5 million. Upstate Forever has had some conversations also, and appears to be willing to perhaps provide some support during the campaign, but if nothing else, to provide some wisdom about how to do campaigns, because they are in the midst of will be starting a second major campaign next year. Which is kind of the bad news, because at least in Oconee County, we'll be competing for the same dollars. I believe that the idea is that once the amendments to the ordinance are passed, that the OCCB will enter into a contract with the Foothills Foundation. We have to provide $50,000 to open it up, and then this outside group will start doing that major fundraising.
Can the $50K come from the funds we have?
Yes, that I made sure that's one of the reasons why I made sure. And Andy had already talked to Duke, and it's reflected in our older minutes, that they have no problems with their money going to an endowment, since we haven't raised $50,000. But we would have to double check that. As long as Duke is okay, our ordinance would permit it.
In county council, I guess.
What?
In council.
Yes, because I believe your meeting is temporarily in the board.
Just wait in the conference room. You're waiting
Oh.
on the sewer
Yes,
conference room, and we'll be done in just a little while.
thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome to sit here and watch us.
So I'll have to yes, county council will have to approve the contract, and the contract will have that expenditure in it.
I feel confident they will. I
Yes.
think it's important for our board to know a little bit about Debbie, just like briefly. She's an Oconee County native, graduate of Seneca High School, has always lived here, but she has probably 30-plus years of like fundraising and public speaking. So she's got kind of a unique skill set, and I think it's near and dear to her heart because Debbie's family, she's connected through her mother to the Thrift family, and has set up some charitable things having to do with that, and her uncle, when Wayne Thrift passed away.
Yeah.
So she kind of also walks the walk. And I personally can't think of a better person to kind of maybe try to get involved and be a
I'm-
part of it.
Kind of stepping ahead, I'm hoping that after you do an introduction with me, that I'll be able to talk to her about taking the lead on this. Andy wants to participate in the idea is that there'll be a group of 5 or 6 people, and that they will do essentially private fundraising for the bulk of the money, and then there'll be public fundraising to kind of close it out. And the private fundraising will be asking people for $50,000, $250,000.
Just so you know, though, Upstate Forever on more than one occasion has clearly said they want to do more than just like provide the wisdom. I mean, they want to help in any way they can. They have any resources that would help people understand, it
Yeah.
goes right along with, so I never really felt that there was I mean, I don't think they view it like
I don't think they do.
but they do have, I mean, they obviously have been,
Yeah.
the people involved from over here.
I don't think
Most
they
of their
do either,
crowd's out
but
of
they,
Oconee
I think
County.
they do recognize that,
Mhm.
at least in this county. But that's kind of, would be my goal, would be to meet Debbie, talk to her, figure
Sure.
out what's going on, get her hooked up with Upstate Forever, specifically on this, get her, if she agrees to take the leadership role, get her hooked up with Foothills, confirm some stuff with David Root, and then just say, I'm in the background to help you, go for it. When Andy gets back, he'll be glad to help.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
let her recruit the other people. So I'm hopeful, because you are right,
I
Ryan,
mean, this is right in her wheelhouse.
and I
It's
did
not
not
a
realize
stretch.
that, but this
Yeah,
is
she's-
wonderful.
She, in fact, was, she worked at Clemson for years as one of their major fundraising kind of
Yeah.
people. And then she was over the Oconee Hospital Board as far as fundraising before they merged with Prisma, when there was some financial, and
Yeah,
she was real involved. I mean, a lot of the things around here that have to do with a pretty high level of fundraising, she's probably been involved with, I bet.
okay, that's great to hear. So that is for information, and this donor thing, this will be the list of things that come to us, not the things that may go directly to the foundation as part of the,
Okay.
but once we get that set up, we'll probably also want a report from the foundation for every meeting.
Just another kind of an FYI, Andy and I had a long discussion
Uh-huh.
about this. Because we're a government entity, and I know that when people make donations, you can take it off your taxes, but corporations also will do matching grants. So normally, when I donate, Caterpillar will match. The problem is because it's a government entity, it's not a 501(c)(3), they will not match it. And when we set up the endowment, with the, whatever the foundation, Foothills Foundation, that will be a 501(c)(3).
It is a 501(c)(3).
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure because.
And we simply have a contract with them.
Okay,
And this is the group the fella came and spoke?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
That is the group,
Yeah,
and
because we asked him that specifically.
okay, I
Yes.
was missing for that meeting, so.
No, that's very valid.
Yeah, because you double your money when you get matching grants, so.
yes, oh, yes.
Yeah, okay.
So that will be, part of Debbie talking to the foundation.
Okay.
We've got to make sure that we know exactly how the legal part's going to work, but she can be working on getting the group together and the plan, and then be able to kick off. Okay, the next item, number 5 on the agenda, now 6, is discussion items. The first one is the reports to council review, and you have them in your backup materials. We, at the last meeting, the board had voted for Andy to just go ahead and send them out, but Andy felt like they really should go through the end of the fiscal year, which is June 30th. So I'm bringing them back to the board for a vote. On the, let's do the Oconee County Conservation Bank Board report to the council first, because I think they have expected to receive it quite some time before this. I would like to make a motion that that the report as presented in the backup material be sent to county council with one change, which is in footnote 1, that Jennifer would insert that Emily Hitchcock was elected as the new chair. So that's the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. A motion by Emily, second by Scotty, and any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
It was unanimously passed. The next one is the,
Emily,
what?
I just have a quick question. How would you like me to send this to council? Do you want it letter form, or do you want me to email it to him?
I don't know how it's usually done.
Just email it.
Other boards, I think every board and commission has to send this to council annually. So can you just find out the proper etiquette? Thank you.
No problem.
The next item,
I have one question.
Uh-huh.
So the one that we,
just approved, yes.
I was just looking at something, Marvin Prater's still on there? Am I right?
Where?
Or do I have something wrong?
You don't have the one I've got in front of me.
Because I thought I printed this off this morning as it came out from, okay, so you got so
You're talking about on the.
current board members.
Yes, I've got
Okay,
District 1, Laura, Treasurer, District 2, Andrew Smith, Chair,
Yeah,
and
which
that's
means
where we've
Scotty
got
Smith.
the
Okay.
footnote, because
Yeah.
this was through the end of the fiscal year.
Yeah, okay, I don't know why this is the version that popped up when I printed it out this morning. I'm working on getting my new computer up and
Yes,
running.
I have that in front of me, so.
Okay, just wanted to make sure on that. All right,
The next item, and I will make a motion, is to accept the letter and report to Duke Energy as presented in the backup materials with 3 changes. One, on the letter, change Andrew Smith to just being a board member, take Nicholas Gambrell off and make that a vacant position, and add my name as chair. So do I have a second?
second,
Okay, motion by Emily, second by Laura. Any discussion?
So technically speaking, we now will have 2 vacant seats.
Yes, and it's on
An
the,
at-large and a District 4.
yeah, and it's on the agenda to be discussed.
Okay.
Yes. It's not technical.
I was just
it's-
making sure.
Yes, it's
I
not
just realized that.
technical, it's real.
Okay. It's like,
Which means
okay.
that, as
Okay.
we can see, if one person's out of town, everybody has to be here or we lose our quorum. Okay, if there's no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
aye.
Aye, it passed unanimously.
Emily, just to clarify though,
Mm-hmm.
if someone has the ability and can do a Zoom, I mean, we can still do that, right?
Yes, I know council can, so yes, we
'Cause
will have to.
I'm just speaking for me, if I had to be somewhere, I could always get
Zoom,
on and do that
yes.
for, if it, you know.
I think that's a very good point. We should all think in terms of if if we cannot be here physically, if it is possible for us to participate by Zoom, or I think Paul Kane just came in on his phone.
We did a FaceTime, so
A
I set it up
FaceTime.
with a microphone and a FaceTime, and it worked perfectly.
Yeah, that was at a county council meeting I went to. So that is acceptable. The one thing we all have to remember if we do that is if we've got it muted, when it comes time to vote, we have to take it off. Okay, the next item is an action regarding the approval of the request to transfer property form. That form was attached to was included in the backup. We approved policy 0005 at the last meeting, and I forgot to include the attachment to that policy, which is this form that they use to seek our approval. We had looked at this form 2 or 3 meetings, and this, we had not had any changes to this version. So I make a motion that we adopt the form for the request for approval to transfer property interest that was in the backup materials with one change, which is on the front page where it says via email to, and it's blank, that Jennifer put in that clerk of council email address. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Emily, second by Laura. Is there any discussion? Okay, if there's no discussion, can we have a vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. Y'all are gonna have to give me time to catch up. I'll be in chair. It's a lot more fun to sit there, isn't it, Cap? Okay, the next item is a discussion or action regarding the board terms. This matter comes up around the August meeting. And Jennifer, I know my term expires in January. Does anybody else's term expire?
Laura and Ryan, and I set them new forms
Okay.
to fill out for them.
And they are eligible for another,
Yes, this is your first term, both of you, correct?
Pretty
okay.
sure.
So,
I thought I came out at the same time as Andy.
I thought you were here before me, too.
Andy, actually,
He already re-upped.
no,
Didn't
he'll
he?
be up in 2024.
24.
He has one more year on his, because he came on in the middle
That's right.
of a thing.
Yeah, I was here before. Yep.
Okay, can you double check and make sure that this is Ryan's first term?
I think it is, but I don't.
I
No.
have on here that you were appointed February 19th of 2019.
That makes it your
It
first
is.
term.
A 4-year term.
Okay.
Okay,
Good.
so, assuming that the two of you want to be reappointed, if you can get those applications completed, you do have to file a new application. I gave Jennifer mine today. The council, I think, considers new appointments in January.
Yes.
So that's your deadline, but let's not wait till the last minute, please.
I'll fill it out now.
Okay, the next item is a status on the receipt of recorded closing documents from recipients. This is an FYI. If the council adopts the amendments to the ordinance, then section 2-404, parenthesis C, close parenthesis, parenthesis 4, close parenthesis, will now require that after closing, the grant recipient provide the board all copies of certain closing documents, which will go in their file. And this is just a reminder, once that is done, we're going to need to go in and revise some policies to reflect that requirement, and probably send out a letter to all of our current known applicants, telling them about this change. The next item on the agenda is the status of the ordinance amendments. It has been presented to County Council in the first and second reading, has occurred. Scuddy and I attended the first reading. I attended the second reading, which is, as y'all know, nothing happens. The third reading is a week from today, correct? So if anyone wants to go, that council meeting starts at 6:30?
6.
At 6. Oh, that's right, the last one had that other thing that went long.
Well, we do have 2 committee meetings before then, so
So they may go
it's
long.
due to start at 6, but it may not.
But it's supposed to start at 6, so, and there's not any kind of public hearing?
Yes, there is
There
a public
is.
hearing and then followed by the third reading.
Okay, so, I will I'm going to attend,
Never be on county council.
and I urge any other board member who can to attend. I plan to just stand up and at the public hearing, let the council know that I'm there, and kind of see if they have, and support it and urge them to pass it, not take up their time, but let them know that I'm there in case there are questions. And if anybody else wants to either speak or is there, just wants me to acknowledge the other board members, I think a show of support for that would be good.
What's the date on that?
It would be Tuesday,
The 16th.
the 16th,
August 16th.
August 16th at 6 PM.
I'm trying to make it. I mean,
I'll just let everybody get it on their calendars. Oh, I should have told them, but we're almost through. Well, Ron, I need to go ahead and kind of get through this so this other group can have this room. Do you need me to email you a reminder about that council meeting?
no, it's just it'll be our second day back in school, so I've just got to make sure
Okay.
everything's, but I'm gonna try.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got it on my
I
calendar.
sure understand that. I think we all do. Okay, the last item on the agenda is a status on our vacant seats on the board. As we all know, Nicholas Gambrell had submitted his resignation due to some significant health issues over this past year, and his feeling that he really is unable to continue. I'm going to write Nicholas, just to let y'all know, on a personal level, not from the board, and at the end of it, I'm going to say, when your situation's better, please consider serving again, because I personally thought he had a valuable insight for us. But that means we have 2 vacancies, one at large and the District 4. We need to get people to file applications, and it doesn't matter if we have more than one for each position. It's unlikely, given the problems we have recruiting members for any county board or commission. But the council can make a decision if we have more than one. So I urge everyone to try to find people who are interested in conservation. The statute has some kind of, it's not a requirement. Let me see if I can pull this up fast enough. I forgot to write it down. It says that we shall endeavor, but not require. So we can recruit anyone, but the kind of people they want are a board member, executive officer of a charitable corporation or trust, somebody actively engaged in the acquisition of lands for the purpose of natural resources or land conservation, which is probably a person we want, is organized for historic or cultural preservation, somebody involved in that, an organization that represents hunting, fishing, outdoor recreation, somebody who's an owner of rural property who is actually engaged in operation of forest land, farmlands, and wildlife, and I think, Ryan, you kind of fill that slot. But it's okay if we have somebody else. Someone who is actively engaged in real estate, which Ryan is, appraising forest land, farmland, and conservation easements, the business of banking, finance, or accounting, or a licensed attorney. Andy was a licensed attorney. He has stopped practicing, but I believe his license is still active in South Carolina. And then they should have demonstrated a background experience and interest in conservation lands. So I read that not because we're required, but just to give y'all some idea about where you might talk to people, if you know people who have a specific interest or have those backgrounds. Now, one of the problems with people who might have those backgrounds is, for example, if an appraiser is somebody who regularly appraises, they may not want to lose that business, which if they are on the board, they would not be able to do an appraisal for anything coming before the board unless they recuse themselves, which I guess they could. But essentially, I think there was a potential conflict there. And that's okay. I mean, we just, if we think there's any potential conflict, then they can talk to David Root and determine whether or not there is. But I think it is very important that we try to get those two.
I think, it's important for us as we're trying to come up. I think the most important thing is that someone's able to come to meetings. I mean, it's kind of one of these, I get all these requirements, but I think that keeping in mind that there are a lot of people in our area that have genuine interest in this area of trying to do some conservation, and whether or not it's a retired school teacher or an appraiser or an art teacher, or I don't know, I mean,
Yes,
I
I know
kind
what
of
you
think that you don't have to be
or a small business person.
yeah, or a barber,
Yeah.
or a pastor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? As long as you have some interest and you're here, I think that's the thing we need, because we really need some bodies.
Very well spoken. I agree. So let's all make that a priority. I will have this on the agenda for our next meeting to make sure that we remember this. That being all the items on the agenda, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Ryan?
A second?
Okay. Motion by Ryan, second by Scotty. We're all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, we're